The old clock shop at the end of my street had been closed for years. The paint was peeling from its shutters and cobwebs hung from its rusted sign. Then one day last month, I saw a light flicker inside. Curious, I crept closer. It was the sound that made me stop in my tracks. Dozens of clocks chiming, but not in unison. They were all slightly out of sync. I peered through a dusty window and saw hundreds of clocks, all different shapes and sizes, each with a slightly different chime. But it was the clock in the center that caught my attention. It was an ornate gold pocket watch with Roman numerals and a second hand that was moving backwards. I pushed open the door and stepped inside. Cobwebs brushed against my face as I walked further into the shop. It smelled like old wood and metal, like a graveyard of time. The chimes seemed louder now. And when I looked back, I realized they weren't coming from the clocks on the walls. All of them had stopped. The sound was coming from the pocket watch on the counter. On the table beside it, I found an old leather journal. Its pages were filled with tiny, precise script. I opened it to a random page and read, "A person's lifespan is measured in heartbeats. If one heartbeat is sent backwards, the flow of time for that person will reverse until the heartbeat is returned to its proper place in the timeline. Then the process will begin again." Below the words, there was a sketch of a heart with an arrow pointing to its center. As I read this, the pocket watch chimed again, and the second hand ticked forward. The words in the journal swam before my eyes. Heartbeat, reverse time. Had the clockmaker discovered a way to control time? I looked up to see if anyone was there, but the shop was empty. No clockmaker, no customers, just hundreds of silent clocks and the one that kept ticking away the seconds. It was only when I turned to leave that I noticed a small door in the back of the shop behind one of the clocks. What was it doing there? Curiosity got the better of me. I pushed the clock away and opened the door. It led to a narrow, pitch-black staircase spiraling down into darkness. I hesitated, then started down the stairs. What did the clockmaker write in his journal? Could he turn back time? Or was it something more sinister? With every step, the air grew colder. And when I reached the bottom, I found myself in a room unlike any I'd ever seen. In the center was a large clock with Roman numerals and hands that spun around at impossible speeds. Glowing orbs floated around the room, pulsing with an eerie light. They were suspended at different heights, some low to the ground, others brushing against the ceiling. The air shimmered and distorted around them. I walked towards one of the orbs. As I approached, it moved, floating up and around me. It felt like I was being watched. Then it darted towards the clock and disappeared. Suddenly, the clock chimed once, and the room plunged into darkness. My heart pounded in my chest. I tried to call out, but my voice caught in my throat. Then another chime echoed through the room, and the glowing orbs reappeared, casting strange shadows on the walls. As they floated past, I saw faces in their glow, pale and translucent like ghosts. They stared back at me with vacant eyes. When the clock chimed again, the faces vanished and the orbs drifted towards me. This time, as they passed, I saw flashes of memories. Not my memories, but someone else's. There was a man in a top hat holding a bouquet of flowers. A woman in a long dress laughing as she danced with a masked man at a party. A child chasing a butterfly in a garden. But the memories didn't feel like they were from the past. They were happening right now. It was then I realized what was happening. This room, these clocks, the visions, they were all connected to the shop somehow. When I entered that room, I was experiencing the lives of the people whose clocks hung on the walls, reliving their moments in real time. But how? How could this be possible? Then I noticed something odd about the pocket watch. The second hand was moving forwards. I hadn't realized it before, but it had stopped moving backwards. Confused, I turned and ran up the stairs, back into the main shop. At the top of the stairs, I saw him for the first time, the clockmaker. He was an old man with twinkling eyes and a long white beard. He wore a velvet waistcoat over a white shirt, and a silver pocket watch peeked from the top of his pants. "You found my little secret," he said with a smile. "I knew you would." I stared at him, speechless. "You can turn back time," I whispered, still on the stairs. "Yes," he replied, "but it comes at a price." He gestured to the pocket watch on the counter. "That watch, it allows me to do many things, to fix broken clocks and even send messages through time." He paused, his eyes distant. "But the true power of the watch is yet to be revealed. It can rewrite history itself, but only for a select few." Curiosity burned within me. "How does it work?" I asked. The clockmaker chuckled. "You want to know how time works? You've come to the right place, my boy. Time is a river, always flowing forward. But there are currents within it, whirlpools that can pull you under and send you back. Those who find these currents can use them to change the past." I descended the stairs slowly, my mind racing. "So the people here," I began, "they used the watch to travel back in time." "Some did," he said cryptically. "Others were sent back against their will. Their stories are written in the stars. Sometimes the future calls for a hero, and sometimes heroes become the very thing they fought to destroy." Suddenly, a chill swept through the room. The air grew heavy, and the clock chimed once. Memories flickered in the orbs once more. I saw the clockmaker as a young man, his hair black, his eyes filled with sorrow. Beside him stood a woman with flowing red hair, holding a baby swaddled in a blanket. Then I saw them again, older now. The woman with her hair turned to silver, her face lined with worry. The clock chimed again, and the scene shifted. I saw the same woman, but she was younger, her hair the color of fire, her eyes filled with life. She walked hand in hand with a young man. I knew then who the man in the pocket watch had sent back in time. It was the woman's husband. The clock chimed again, and I saw the two of them together, laughing, dancing, living a life that should have been filled with sunshine and joy. But I also saw the darkness lurking in the corners of the room, the shadows growing longer as a new chime echoed through the space. Who had been sent back in time? Why? And why did the clockmaker keep sending people back? Was he trying to fix something or break it? Questions swirled in my mind, but before I could ask any of them, the clock struck a third time, and the room plunged into darkness. I cried out, stumbling backward. Then the glowing orbs reappeared, and I saw a vision of myself standing in the shop, talking to the old clockmaker. But something was different. My clothes were dusty, my hair unkempt, and exhaustion etched lines onto my face. I was older. The clock chimed once more, and the vision shifted. It was the same scene, but now I was much younger. My hair the color of midnight, my eyes bright with curiosity. I was standing next to the old clockmaker, who was even older now, his shoulders stooped with age. And when the final chime struck midnight, I realized the clockmaker's secret was happening to me. The pocket watch on the counter chimed softly, and the second hand ticked forward, each tick pulling me deeper into the mystery of the clock shop. The room grew darker, the visions fading into the shadows. The clockmaker's words echoed in my ears. Only for a select few. Had I been chosen to wield the power of the pocket watch, to control time itself? But why? Was I destined to change the past, or to live through it over and over again, reliving moments that weren't mine to remember? The clock chimed 12 times, then silence. The second hand on the pocket watch froze, and the room plunged into darkness. Alone in the dimly lit shop, surrounded by hundreds of silent clocks, I pondered the mysteries that lay ahead. The secrets of the pocket watch, the clockmaker's motives, and the echoes of the past that seemed to call out to me. As the first rays of sunlight peeked through the dusty windows, I knew one thing for sure. My journey through time had just begun. What choices would I make when faced with the power to alter history? What sacrifices would I be willing to make to protect those I loved? And what dangers would I encounter along the way? Only time would tell.